Yes, we are recording. Excellent. This session is being recorded. Cool. Well, I guess we've got another 2 minutes or so we shouldn't start until then. Although we will start on the dot with a special surprise. For those who are early, is a special reward. Until then, since I'm the only one who can speak, I could sing a song, but that got me banned from church once upon a time. Very good for your little ego when you're about 8 years old. So I shan't be singing. Instead, let me tell you about, I guess, the cycling holiday. That was pretty awesome. We were totally unprepared in the sense of training because we'd had a horrid winter, so far too few miles in the legs, and then bombed down doing about 100 miles a day, which was surprisingly sustainable. It was okay. There was one day where we were so tired at the end. I'm going to post that online. I'm going to put that video up there. We're sitting in the hotel and had a fantastic dinner. It was wild boar with all typical French. A very, very nice meal. But it was just too exhausted to eat. I just couldn't eat anymore. And we've got a video of that. I was just, oh no, I don't want to eat anymore. You love my accent. Yes, my accent is... oh God, why is my accent the way it is? I am German, 100%, but I grew up in an Air Force family, so we lived all over the place. And then I moved to Britain in 1990 to study over there. And rather than hang out with fellow Krauts, I learned English by speaking to English people, or watching Home and Away and Neighbours, which is an Australian soap opera. So that's that's certainly contributed to my weird accent. And my wife is Irish, so at home we speak Northern Irish, I might add, which is a rather strong accent. So here at home we speak a rather interesting mix. Alrighty, it is time to get going. The Power of One. Welcome on this call. Cool. So here is the reward for being here early. Okay. Normally, the wisdom that goes around is this. When you do a webinar, for the first 10 minutes, you just have to basically entertain the crowds, because most people will turn up 10 minutes late. And then, you dive into the content. I'm thinking that's BS. Right, either you're on time. It's like with school. I used to teach at school, and I lock the door on the dot. Thank you very much. If you don't want to, then cool, stay outside. So here's the reward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this content, and it's supposed to be an interactive session. The objective of this is not yet another webinar where you scribble like mad, take notes, and go, "Oh, that was awesome," and not take any action. Okay, I want to get you thinking. As you know, this is kind of based on my current and past coaching practice. So lots of insights from there. And I guess the biggest insight of coaching is this. If you don't think for yourself, or coaching, the essence of coaching is that basically the coach gets you to think about your problems, about your issues you're facing, gets you to find your own solutions, because that's how you end up with a plan that makes sense and you can start implementing. Just another training webinar where you pick up other people's information and it intellectually makes sense, that doesn't get you moving forward. So, and if you give me 1 second before we dive into the big surprise, I'm just going to kick out some children because I'm on babysitting duty. My wife is on choir practice all day long. So 1 second, I'll be right back. And it's a good thing this thing has a mute button. Yippee! I've got 4 kids, and 2 of them are boys who are starting to produce testosterone. It's awesome. Alrighty. Here is the big surprise we're going to do, right? I want you to interact. I want you to ask questions and start thinking about the issues you're facing. And what I'm going to do is, as a reward for the person, actually not for the person, I'm going to, at the end, because all the questions you're typing in are being recorded by GoToWebinar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through them and pick the 10 people who asked the most, I wouldn't say intelligent questions, but the real sort of questions where they go, oh yeah, I could apply it this way, or I have a question. The 10, best contributors to this, and I'm going to give you a strategy session. All right, it's about an hour, and everyone who's done this with me is absolutely blown away. It gives you clarity like nothing else before, and that's what we're aiming for. So with that out of the way, and that is, if you're now 10 minutes late, you'll never hear about this, and you might be wondering why so many people are asking questions or contributing. Haha, that's why. Alrighty. So clarity is what we're after, and with that, let's go into the presentation. Here's a big question for you. When you look at internet marketing, doing something from home, and by the way, it doesn't really matter whether you're online or offline. The big question is, how tricky can it be? Now, Mike, okay, let's get going. How tricky do you think, in theory, it should be to make money online? Based on what you've seen, what other people have told you, based on, the way it should be. How tricky really should it be? Now, if, 1 is not tricky at all, is like making a piece of toast, and 10 is rocket science. How tricky do you think it should be to make money online? Should be simple, exactly. A 1 should be bloody straightforward. Exactly. Thank you very much. 1, 2, 3 should be a 2. There we go. The gurus tell you it's a 2, strategically 1, technically a 10. Okay. The way it's sold, it's a push 1 button. Exactly. It should be super simple. And when you look at the overall, the fundamentals of making money, whether it's online, whether it's offline, it doesn't really matter. You basically need 3 things. You need traffic, you need an offer, and you need a product. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, it's the legendary top model, traffic, offer, product, which is, now I've just put it in this order because then it spells top. And if I were to ask you, let's go back to traffic. Can you imagine writing or having written some articles and posting them? I guess most people would say, yes, of course you can. Most people, even if I said, could you imagine, with a bit of step-by-step guidance, could you set up a PPC campaign? Sure, of course you could, right? The same goes for the offer. I mean, could you, worst case scenario, could you put together a sales letter that says, I've got something cool here. This is what it is. These are the 3 main benefits. If you want it, here's the pay button. I mean, could you do that? In theory, of course, you could. And the last one is a product. Exactly, PPC. Someone's just pointing out, PPC. You could do PPC. I mean, it is not that difficult. From a technical side of things, it's very easy. And the same for a product. I mean, you've bought tons of products. I mean, look at the products you've bought. I mean, how difficult can it be? I mean, let's look at this picture here, right? A piece of bread. Could you, a lot of people here on this call can probably bake a piece of bread, right? And then you have a product and you could sell it. So in theory, it's super simple, but the practice is, it's not that simple. So the question is, what is that? And that is what we're going to do in this presentation. Okay, we're going to go through and try to get away from this thing, which is basically people are stuck in mud. I mean, this is the closest I can think. It's like you have this thing, you have this goal of making money online, and you really want to move forward, and you're stuck. I mean, you're literally like stuck in this muddy mess, and you're not moving forward. Now, one more thing. Oh, that was too fast. Go back. Right? The other thing we're going to find out is that, or the biggest insight with my coaching is this. In the beginning, people are stuck, and then we move them to clarity. And there are 2 levels of clarity. The first level of clarity is when, in your own mind, it starts to make sense. And that is basically all the stuff you knew, or you know you should be knowing, and when it starts making sense. And then there is a second level of clarity, and that is when suddenly you realize there's actually more to it. And that tends to make a lot of people uncomfortable. And my objective with all my coaching is, of course, to make everyone cry at least once. Haven't managed yet, but I'm still working on it. So the most important thing with all of this here is that you basically be aware that there's stuff you don't know. And it is uncomfortable, and it's perfectly natural. The discomfort, or this anticipation, this kind of bizarre, like slight nervousness, is always going to be there. No matter at what level you are, there's always that next level you're slightly scared of. So that's perfectly fine. So at this point, before we dive in, let me have a quick look at the comments here, okay? Should be System Pros. My question is, what have you found to be the best monetization method? Amazon, affiliate, or CPA, or own product, or eBay? Jeff, we'll get to that in a second, okay? Irish soda bread, of course, absolutely kicks butt. Super simple to make, and it is awesome. I can eat a loaf of bread. Where did you get that pic of your muddy boots? Yes, I snooped around on your website. It's not the technical aspect, it's the between the ears which keeps us from success. Absolutely, that is it. Okay, so just to clarify, you probably can guess, and we'll go through this in a second, this presentation is all about the stuff in between your ears, and I'm not talking about motivation. I'm not talking about willpower, all that kind of stuff. That is all a side effect, and it's typically what people go on about. This of procrastination, all that nonsense. That's not what it's about. But it's not about, hey, today we're doing CPA marketing. This is the fundamentals. Get these in place, and then you basically you can do anything you like. You can do PPC, CPA, whatever you want to do, or your own product. Ego is probably the biggest problem. Well, everyone has their own problems, as you'll find out in a minute. The easy part is documented in WSOs, exactly. So let's get cracking here. Where is my beautiful picture? This is me. No, it's not me. This was me a few years ago. I did a parachute jump. And a parachute jump, in theory, intellectually speaking, you could probably think you could do it. All right? In practice, it's a whole different thing. And the practice was this. I was at the top in this airplane. I jumped out, and what they had taught us beforehand was you jump out and you spread your wings and you count to 3. Well, you count 2001, 2002, 2003. If your parachute is not open, then you basically don't panic and you open your parachute. Now, of the entire load of people who jumped out of this airplane, not a single person remembers the bit between jumping out and the bit between where the parachute was open and they were floating in midair. Everyone had blanked out. Now, in theory, it's easy. You jump out, it's a bit scary, you spread your wings. No one did stretch out their arms and legs like you're supposed to. Everyone was just going, oh, thank God, this thing opened. We were on whatever it's called, the tug line or something like that. Had this thing not opened, every single person would have just plummeted straight down. Because in practice, it's totally different. And that is what I'm going to show you now. Every single point that is coming up makes intellectually 100% sense. The problem is getting it right in practice. Okay, you need to experience this kind of stuff. So I'm going to show you first the 7 biggest points that make intellectually speaking a lot of sense, but most people don't do them. And then towards the second half, I'm going to show you how to implement that stuff in practice. Alrighty, before we go on, the $1 million question, how do I keep myself on track when there are so many moving parts to everything I do? Well, guess what? That's what we're doing in a second. That's exactly what we're doing, how to keep going. So here is the power of one. Title of this presentation is The Power of One. The first thing is you have to have an evergreen sales funnel. Why am I saying this? Well, a lot of people on this call may know me through the Warrior Forum. And on the Warrior Forum, you may have bought one of my WSOs. And you look at these things, and there's one launch after another, and you get all excited. People put out product after product after product, and it looks very tempting. It looks very cool. Because, wow, you can make all this money with individual, launches. Here's the big problem, and this is basically a writer-downer. If you are developing anything online, do not go for the launch model. Yes, you can at some point launch something, but if you stick with launches, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. Reason number 1 is the launch, every single launch is incredibly stressful. Yeah, there's no 2 ways of going about it. They are stressful. You have to handle affiliates. You have to have, especially on things like the Warrior Forum, you have all this traffic coming in, and then if you're unlucky, you've got a technical issue, you've got to deal with this, etc., etc. So they're incredibly stressful. But the main thing, the main reason why launches are really, 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 really bad is this. When you look at what we're doing here, is we're doing direct marketing. or direct response marketing. Basically, we put an offer out there, people respond to it or do not respond to it. And if you think about direct marketing or look at it, the reality is this. With all the market research in the world, with all competition research, etc., you can probably cover half of what you're doing, in the sense of half of the response you're getting is due to you being able to do good market research and putting all the right places in there and doing sales psychology, whatever you want to do. The other half is testing and optimizing. If you don't test and optimize, you will never know if you've got the best in quotes response you can get. And so if you go out and put out an offer on the Warrior Forum, for example, and say, I've got rabbits. Do you want to buy my rabbits? And they're shiny and they eat your grass, they cut the grass for you, etc., etc. You will not know whether that is a good offer or not. So every single time you do a launch, you're basically starting again from zero. You start from, I have no idea. I'm stabbing in the dark. I mean, maybe it's sort of, dim because you've got that 50% absolutely spot on. You totally understand your target audience. You totally, have a proven track record with your offers, etc. And you've got a great copywriter, etc. But the other half is stabbing in the dark. You simply do not know. Whereas if, on the other hand, you focus on an evergreen sales funnel, you have all the time in the world. You can, spend several years optimizing this thing. And you do a little tweak here, you test a different headline, you test a different offer, you test different upsells, you test. And over time, it'll get better and better and better. And that is the big secret. So I know the temptation is great to do small launches, another product. Fact is, if you focus on one product, on one site, etc., you will have that 50% covered, and you can test and optimize. And the reality is, those who are making a lot of money online are the ones who are focusing on those 50%, on the 50% of testing and optimizing. Turn off email. Does this include? All right, I'm going to have to go through lots more comments here. Does this include anything in print? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by, or what you refer to by, does this include anything in print? Bought all of my RWZOs. Yes, thank you very much. Launch jacking 2. 5 sites are better than 50. Yes, 1 site is better than 5. Let me tell you that. Launch jacking 2. Launch jacking is not a business. That is a quick way of making some money. But when you're jacking someone else's launch, unless you have a great way of building a list, building a product on the back end of this, all I can tell you is the guys who are making the big money are the ones who have the product. And we'll go through this in more detail in a second. Alrighty, so question, input. Tell me when you, actually quickly tell me what you've done. What is jacking a launch? There's a question here. Jacking a launch is basically other people are launching something and you kind of divert traffic to your thing. So one thing you could do is, a classic one I've seen is product launch formulas coming out. Everyone is talking about product launch formula, but it's a $2,000 product. And what you do is you put out a, whatever, $12 product that promises to do almost all of that. There is another format. So basically what you're doing is you're exploiting the buzz around that launch and you're using it for your own purposes, which is perfectly fine. I've done it before and got banned as an affiliate by Jeff Walker. Still suffering from that one. So include anything in print. Is this bonus of you? Whoa, too many questions here. Include anything in print. Is this bonus of yours just a webinar, or is there also a PDF? No, it's this webinar. You have to write and scribble like mad. I do have some websites, but the problem is competition. Only the top few get the visits or clicks. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Where does the continual traffic come from if you don't do any launches? Jillian, that is exactly the thing. Okay, you're much better off. Do I want to cover this now? Okay, I'll give you the high-level summary now, and then we go through it in detail, okay? The best way, okay, let me ask you. Pretend you have a list, okay? You have a list, you would like to, I don't promote something, or you see a couple of offers you can promote, and it turns out the first offer you've got there is something that gives you 50 cents per click on average. If you've got 100 people on your list and you send every one of those 100 people clicks on your link and goes there, on average you can expect to make 50 bucks. So say there's another offer, similar product, but it's more optimized. The guy or the person behind that product has done a much better job, and they've basically spent a lot of time on those 50% that count, and they've optimized their sales funnel, so they're now on average making, instead of 50 cents, they're making $5. So you, with your 100 people, if they all click, instead of making $50, you're making $500. Now, which one would you promote? Which of those two? It's a question for you. Which one would you promote? Who would promote both? Okay, fair enough. The $5 one, the $50 one. But I think the better product, exactly. The one that gives you more money. So, if you go out and create an evergreen sales funnel, that it's not based on scarcity, hey, it's here because I can't find any other reason to have it here, then it's a launch. But if it's a solid product that's there for the next couple of years, and you can prove to affiliates that this product has an average earning per click of $5, that is so much better than anything else out there. So do you have to worry about traffic? Hell no, you don't, because all the affiliates out there are going to go, this is an awesome product, it makes me $5 per click. What I'll do is I'll promote these guys all day long. And they'll go and do PPC for you. They'll do PPV. They'll go article marketing, all that good stuff. Everyone who's into affiliate marketing will go, that is an awesome offer. It's not only here. See, from an affiliate's perspective, I've got two choices. I can go out, but apart from the the cheap offer or the low payout or the high payout, I can do two things. I can go out and promote something that is here today and it's gone in 48 hours. That's a one-off cash influx, which is very nice, but that's it. Or I can go, for example, and build a YouTube video which links to an evergreen product. That YouTube video is going to make me money today, tomorrow, in a week, in a month, in a year, in 2 years. The same for a Squidoo lens, the same for an article, all that kind of stuff. So it's much more appealing to any affiliate to have a product that has a high payout and is here for a long time, because they can then almost treat it like an asset for themselves. They don't have to constantly chase another one and go, well, is that optimized, is it not optimized? They just know this thing, if I drive more traffic at it today, next week, next month, it's gonna make me more money. Around the year 2000, you couldn't even get an affiliate without a credible history of EPC ROI. Yeah, these days, and you can add it to the autoresponder sequence. Exactly, that is the whole point. Yeah, you put it somewhere in your autoresponder sequence. You put it into, even if you want to do thing. To give you an example, think about Amazon. All right, a lot of people do Amazon. So imagine Amazon decided to discontinue every product they have after 3 days. Well, you wouldn't go out and build Amazon review sites. Of course you wouldn't, because, well, all the stuff is gone 2 days later. Alrighty, let's go to this one here. Sorry, there are so many questions coming in. I can't address all of them, okay? The main thing that turned me off promoting IM products is that they are so short-lived. That's one of the main things. The other main thing is that a lot of them are shit. Excuse my language. My kids are outside, so it's okay. Alrighty, let's look at this current screen. What do we see here? Okay, my question to you is, in the things you've done in the past, the things you're doing right now, what is it you're doing? What activities are you doing? Just type in a couple of things. What's on your daily to-do list? Just type a couple of things in the box there. Okay, someone says promote. How do you promote? Write sales letters, designing sales pages, plan, research, building links, product selection, research, keywords, website development, client marketing, strategy development, SEO, social media, SEO, e-commerce stores, research, writing, backlinks, grrr, market research, forum mining, improve the look of my website and look to increase Google rankings, etc., etc. Okay, that is a ton of stuff. Now, I've kind of depicted it here with 9 little pictures. Okay, research, product, customers, plan, price, all this kind of stuff. Now, here is one of the most powerful insights I can give you. Okay, and this is one that makes intellectually sense, but you have to experience it so you can start implementing it. Okay, the power of one. You should have one single role in your company. Okay? Most people go into this in the sense of, I am self-employed. Isn't it great to be self-employed? Let me tell you a little story. I cycled from southern Germany to the Baltic Sea, northern Germany on the coast last year. And on the way, I had my lunches and little snacks in bakeries. So that was my main stopping point during the day, bakeries. So I stopped in one, and they had a special deal, like you get a coffee and 2 Danish pastries or something like that for whatever, a couple of euros. So I said, well, that's cool here, but this Danish pastry thing, it's too sugary. Instead of that, can I have the coffee and some grainy buns? Something along those lines. So we start haggling, which I'd never done before in a bakery, especially in Germany. You don't haggle, and then certainly not in a bakery. So it turns out the guy I was talking to was the owner of that bakery, and he told me that he is self-employed. And we basically got to this like, yeah, I'm on my cycling holiday, and he hadn't taken a holiday, not a single day, apart from Christmas, in 5 years. And he told me, look, I'm self-employed. Now, if you know German, the word self-employed translates into selbstständig. And selbstständig, selbst is self, and ständig is always, constantly, all the time. So when you're self-employed, you're constantly doing absolutely everything. And we all have this dream of being selbstständig. No, actually, we want to be self-employed. Actually, we don't want to be self-employed. The vast majority of people don't want to have a boss. Reality is most people create a horrendous job for themselves. That is the reality of self-employed. Selbstständig. Always. Self and always. That's what's happening, okay? So when you do this, it is the most important thing. And towards the second part of this presentation, we'll go into practical applications, how to do this, okay? Your job is to, whatever business model you're choosing, whatever approach you're choosing, design it in such a way, right from the beginning, that you are not the guy or the gal who does absolutely everything. Yeah? Gillian says here it's working on rather than in your business. Yes, that is the catchphrase we're all supposed to understand. But the reality is, if you are selbstständig, as in self and always, and by the way, it's not like aimed at anyone on this call. It's not aimed at people who are in internet marketing or trying to make money from home. This is the reality for 99% of all small businesses out there. They are self and always selbstständig. And as a result, if you're constantly busy, like just putting out fires, etc., you're never going to get to the point where you can work on your business as opposed to in your business. So this is a question of design and strategy right from the beginning. And by the way, in case you're getting scared, it's like, whoa, this sounds kind of scary. Towards the end, I'm going to show you one example of how you can do all of this here in a very, very, very simple way and get traction immediately, okay? Yeah, easier said than done. Finding resources, exactly. Outsourcing everything, but your one role requires a lot of cash. How do you even get started without that kind of money? Again, you'll see in a minute, okay, when we get to that simple model. Many hats, nothing got done unless I did it. Exactly, and that's the worst thing you can do. So the second point here is you have to design this from the beginning that you have one role. Everything else is going to kill you. And I know there is that whole thing. If you don't have the money in the beginning to hire other people, you're going to have to be inventive and get other people to help you out in some way. And I'm going to show you one way of doing this. Okay. The third part. you have to have one core product, and I've got product in quotes here. Alrighty. Has anyone heard of Jason Fladlien or something like that? Does anyone know Jason? Will and Jason, I think, or Wilson Matters? Yes. Okay. Yes. You've heard of him. Okay. What is the one product he's known for? What is he known for? WP Twin. Yes, and his laugh is disgusting. Backup tool, WP Twin, article writing in 7 minutes. But actually, I tell you what, Jason isn't really known for one product. Okay, let me compare to, for example, have you heard of Jeff Walker? He puts out 1 million reports, exactly. Okay. Yes, no, yep, yeppers, PLF. Okay. If you haven't heard of Jeff Walker is product launch formula, nothing else. Jeff Walker equals product launch formula. Jeff Walker can happily command $2,000 for his product launch formula product. Yeah, he does so 3 times a year or so. He does a relaunch, all his buddies promote him, and he makes a ton of money with just that thing. Now, on the back end, he then sells all kinds of other things. But he starts at the $2,000 price point. Now, Jason and Wilson, whatever, those two are not really known for the one thing. They're known for making a ton. Will Matos, okay. They're doing a ton of stuff. And although they are at the upper end, they're definitely at the upper end. I've chosen, someone who is successful in internet marketing. They're at the upper end of being able to charge premium for, very average products. I mean, there's nothing spectacular about their stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, it's not rocket science. They're nowhere near charging that amount of money. The biggest thing I can give you is this. Have one core product. And even if that is a service, make sure it is presented as a product. Because a lot of people who are into, for example, offline marketing, they go, well, I'll do consultative selling, and I will custom design your thing for you, and it'll all be like super, super custom for you. And as a result, they're once again working their butts off. They're working in their business all the time. They're suddenly the person who has to do everything. If you've got a service where you are the only person who can deliver it, once again you're back to the step in the previous page. You are now doing all the work. No one else can do it for you, and you've created a job for you. So the biggest takeaway here is create one core product, and by all means sell all kinds of stuff on the back end. Perry Marshall. Who knows Perry Marshall? Heard of Perry Marshall? Yes, AdWords, exactly. PPC AdWords. That's him. Now, in reality, Perry Marshall sells a ton of stuff. Copywriting, PPC, what else did I see? He's got productivity stuff. He's got a wide range, but he's known for AdWords, for PPC. That's him. That's how you get into a sales funnel. Now, there's another reason for this. If you go out into the market and say, let's use internet marketing as an example, you go out there and you start doing joint ventures with other guys. If you are the AdWords guy, you can now create superb relationships with other big guys out there who are the guys or the person for something else that is complementary to AdWords. You're not competing. So you can promote each other, and everyone knows Perry Marshall is the AdWords guy. Jeff Walker is the product launch formula guy, etc., etc. Okay? If you are all over the map and you do this and that and the other, and today it's plugins and tomorrow it's like offline, the day after it's online, no one knows how to work with you. And once again, it goes back to what we said earlier. If you've got something where it's evergreen, and they can put it in their follow-up sequence, they can put it in their products and say, oh, here's something complementary. That's awesome for them. Everyone wins. But if you are all over the shop and today it's this and tomorrow it's something else, it just doesn't work that way. The same goes for your customers. If you are the one person who does AdWords, it'll be in their minds. Okay, here's someone AdWords, totally reliable source. This is AdWords. If you now go out and someone asks you, hey, do you know someone for AdWords? Yeah, you go, Perry Marshall, of course. Alrighty, that is number 3. Number 4 is one laser target audience. The reality of pretty much 99% of business owners, and look, my background is we do trainings for the sales reps for newspapers. It sounds much less complicated in German. So the guys who go out and sell advertising space for newspapers. So through them, and by doing direct consulting with small businesses, I've been in contact directly, like sitting in the business, with countless. I mean, literally countless. I've lost track. So many small businesses. And when I ask them, whom are you trying to target with this, ad, with this particular newspaper ad you've got here? Invariably, in 99.5% of all cases, the answer is everyone. As many people as possible. That is what everyone says. It brings tears to my eyes because it's, of course, the polar opposite of what we're trying to do. Because the moment you speak to everyone, no one feels spoken to. And who here on the call has heard this? Who heard that you're supposed to be talking to a very specific target audience as opposed to everyone? Yes, hear it all the time, hear it all the time, hear it all the time. Exactly. Right? Here is the problem. That is something that makes intellectually sense, but it is scary as hell to write an ad that says, everyone out there, screw off, I'm not willing to talk to you, apart from anyone who's got pink hair, is a schoolgirl, and has, I don't know, erectile dysfunction in their middle finger, which could look like this. I only want to talk to this particular person, and no one else. So, big takeaway. You have to, and this is the biggest jump, is from intellectually understanding to actually doing it. Okay, goes back to the power of one. You have to solve one exact problem, and I've touched upon it. Is whether you are the Eggman on Farmers Market in Oxford. Eggman used to sell lamb. He used to sell chicken. He used to sell veal. He used to sell. Did he have plants? I can't remember. Some plant-based stuff. I think he had cheese. He had all kinds of stuff, but he's known as the Eggman. So everyone went to Eggman, and if you had anyone ask about, how can I do something about my cholesterol level, you went, it's the Eggman. Go to him. He's a lovely guy. And then you go, oh, look, he's got all this other stuff. And the same is here. Perry Marshall, product launch formula. Okay, someone asked you non-IM examples. What is Apple known for? Okay, I'm just going to, answer that question. It's basically for their iDevices, Mac computers. Well, it's basically, the I ... That's what they're known for. Everything, exactly. That's what they're known for. The fact that they also make a lot of money through iTunes at the back end, because no one goes, oh, iTunes, it's lovely, or the App Store is lovely, or the iCloud or whatever it's called is lovely. Yeah, the Beatles trading label. That's what Apple are known for. Right? No one gives a toss about that stuff on the back end. Apple still makes money with that, a lot of money. But really, they're known for that one thing. It's basically the user-friendly, high-end stuff. And we'll get back to that in the one example later on. So, as a copywriter, I have a lot of problem with getting clients to understand this one factor. Yes, Tony, that is the biggest problem. It's like, and I tell you, 99.something% of business owners believe they have to reach everyone. And it's counterintuitive to say, I want to block out as many people as I can and speak specifically to this one target audience. It's almost like a leap of faith, and you have to go in. And incidentally, if you check out this picture at the top left here, she does seem to have gift wrapping for her eggs. Isn't that awesome? Look, they're like little ribbons, and there's paper with, what is that, like little teddy bear on there. Very cool. You can have like gift wrapped eggs here. Spotted eggs. Yeah, you can have spotted eggs here, and I'm sure these over here are dinosaur eggs or million-year-old eggs or whatever they are. Alrighty. The next one is you have to have one unique position, and one of the questions, or one of the many questions earlier on was, how do I stand out? And the question is, how can you attract them? Don't begin with the question, how can you attract them, but can you attract them at all? What I'd like to put out there is this. If people already have a ton of choice, and they're almost overwhelmed, they have too much choice, they have too much information on one particular topic, that could be, let's take it as a simple example, I don't know, novels, okay? Romantic novels. If you go to Amazon, the Kindle store, and you start looking for romantic novels, there are probably a billion different books. I'm exaggerating, but there are a lot of different books. Right? So people are spoiled for choice, and the biggest problem is not finding one. The biggest problem is finding out amongst all the stuff which one they're going to go for. Now, an applied example for affiliates is if you're putting out something that is exactly like everybody else, if your Amazon review site is exactly like everyone else that says, hey, I really like this milk foamer over here, go click on my link, then it's very difficult to stand out. So this thing, although you could kind of reframe it as a USP question, is basically you need to position yourself as something that is so unique that no one else can have it. And there are all kinds of reasons why you want to do it. One is, with this positioning power comes, of course, the pricing power. If you've got something that cannot be compared to anything else, then people can't go price shopping. I'll add a little side note here. Let me ask you, when you, okay, Cass, how do you get a picture of my boat? I believe this is computer generated. I'm not sure. I bought this picture. All the pictures here are legal, by the way. Just to re-emphasize, legal, not illegal. They are legal. I've bought them. One product, one problem, position are all very closely. Yes, of course, they're all very closely related. Absolutely. Now I was going to ask you a question, but then Cass interrupted me. It'll get back to me. So anyway, I know it was the price comparison. Where do you go for price comparison? What do you use to do price comparison? Question for you. Internet, compare.com, Google item, exactly. Google search cheap. Now, the other day, we cycled up the Ardèche, and there were all kinds of knick-knack stores. The Ardèche is lovely. It's not much in terms of knick-knack. But say you go into a knick-knack store, and they've got some stuff about the Ardèche. Do you think you're going to start price comparing or price shopping? If you like it, you buy it. Boom, there you go. Okay, and that is, so the side note is this here. If at all possible, and of course if you're working as an affiliate, and there's not much you can do, but if you have your own product, do attempt to get your prospects offline. Because offline, it's much harder to do price comparison. If you got a letter in front of you and there's an offer, and especially if it is presented in such a way that it cannot be directly compared to someone else. And this is indirectly aimed at so many people who are doing offline marketing. If you go out and you say, I can give you a page one ranking for your SEO thing, or I can give you a mobile marketing campaign, I can give you all this kind of stuff. That's very easy to compare to other people. You just get in a couple of offers and you say, you're all promising page one rankings. Thank you very much. I'll go with the cheapest. The same for mobile marketing, etc., etc. If you now turn this into a proposition, a value proposition that cannot be compared to what other people are offering, and if on top of that you take it offline, we sit together, we talk on the phone, I put a letter in front of you, I go to a seminar, etc., etc. You've basically cut out not only the direct competition but also the price comparison competition. The edge of your personality determines how you tackle the problem of your prospects. Yeah. The edge of your personality. Woohoo! Alrighty. So, just to summarize that previous point, okay, you have to be unique. And the reason I'm showing this picture here is, of course, it's the blue ocean strategy. You define a category of one where you cannot be compared to anyone else, and life is so much easier. And I'll show you an example in a second, okay, from practice. Alrighty, this one is huge. Please pay attention. It's all got to do with success. Alrighty, if you go out, and a lot of people go, right, I've got page 1 rankings for my website. I've got all this traffic coming in, and no one's buying. No one's clicking on the link. No one is signing up. And no one is buying my stuff. How come? The biggest thing I can give you is you need to have one success story. Now, in practice, people are going to ask 3 questions in their minds, at the back of their minds. They're not asking them explicitly, but it's at the back of their minds. The first one is this thing possible? What are you proposing now? Is it at all possible? If they believe at any level that it's not possible, that basically you're faking it, they're not going to buy. The second question they're going to ask at the back of their minds is it possible for you? Do you, who's putting out this product, is you who's putting out this claim, do they believe that you can do it? And if not, if you are, whatever, you're 5'2" and you claim to be jumping, 8 meter 30. I don't know what the world record is for, long jumping. It's probably in the 8 to 9 meter range. They probably go, no, that's not possible. You're too short. It's not possible, and therefore they're out. So they have to believe that you can do it. And the last one is, can they do it? Do they believe that it should be possible for them? And if you have one success story, which is not your own, but someone else has had great results as a result of doing whatever it is you're doing, all those questions are answered in one fell swoop. This is one of those that make intellectually sense, but you have to go there, okay? This is something I picked up intellectually from, for example, Jeff Walker. Jeff Walker said, look, whenever you launch a product, don't bother selling it. Go out and give it away for free. Do a seminar, get some people in a room, maybe get them to pay for the expenses, but that's it. Teach to them. You'll learn so much, and if you're doing a good job, one of them, at least one of them, is going to have a great success. It made intellectually sense. It took me a long time to put that in practice. Okay? Look at pretty much all the big success stories out there. I don't know, Tristan Bull, in brackets shit, had 1 or 2 success stories and then made millions ripping off people. And I'm not saying this is a good model, but I'm showing you the power of this. Right? He had, I've forgotten her name, she basically made 40 grand or so with an Amazon product. And her product apparently was good. It'll come back to me. Come on, what's her name? Anyone remember? The one girl, Tristan Bull's, poster child, whatever. She made 40 grand. He used that in a sales letter and, made a lot of money. If you look at any of the gurus, they will have the same success story over and over again. And why do they have this? Because that's all it takes. You have to have that one success story that answers 3 questions. Is it possible at all? Is it possible for you? Is it possible for me? And the success story, you showing someone else how to do it and them having success, answers all those questions. So please, get busy, get in testimonials. And if you've got a product, you want to recommend a product that doesn't have heavy-duty testimonials on there, don't do it. Don't go there. This is probably the #1 conversion thing you can do. Right, this is the summary, high level, okay? Come on. You need to have an evergreen sales funnel. Do not do launches. You have to have the one role in your company. If you try to do everything yourself, you are self-employed and you're selbstständig. You're always doing this. Number 3 is you want to have one core product. Dan Kennedy calls it the widget. This is the one thing. Once again, it makes so much sense intellectually, but you need to be there and actually do it until you go. So you suddenly go, oh, now it makes sense. Okay, the widget is the one thing where you sell the heck out of it. Look, a lot of people come into internet marketing because they want to get rid of their boss, but also because they are looking for more. They're looking for freedom. They're looking for ways of using their creativity, they're expressing themselves, etc., etc. So it is, a lot of people love the starting bit not very good at finishing the bit. They love the creativity of coming up with new stuff. And I can tell you from own personal, very, very painful experience that you are wasting a ton of time. And this, time is the one thing you can't get back. By jumping from one product to another, semi-half-heartedly selling something, getting something out of it. If you give me 1 second, I have some kids to put into place. It's rather annoying. 1 second. I really do hope the mute button worked. It would not be rather embarrassing. Right, where were we? Someone remind me. We now pause to kids. Apparently, this is illegal now. I didn't know this. I mean, I'm not beating up my kids, but excellent. The mute button worked. What is Zepstnik? I have no idea what Zepstnik is. Okay, I'm just looking at a couple of comments that have come in whilst I was away. All right, let me just scroll through there. Move your cursor. Stop picking her nose. Oh, that must have been a previous slide. Okay. Poor girl, she got picked her nose. So, does it set your bullshit meter off? Not necessarily. Bullshit meter, I mean, it's finely tuned, especially in markets like the internet marketing niche. But a lot of people, I mean, look at my Salty Droid post I put out a few weeks ago. It is not meant to pick on poor Salty Droid at all. A lot of people stand in their own way. For example, someone just posted here, I get fed up hearing Alex Jeffries' story. Yes and no. Alex Jeffries is very long-winded, in my opinion, telling his story. And of course, he repeats his story, and he has his poster child. He has Dean Holland. It's a classic example of how you have to have one success story. But when you look at Alex Jeffries in detail, this is now my Salty Droid post in action. If you put aside I'm rejecting it outright because there are one or two things I don't like about him, you'll see that he's doing a ton of stuff very, very right. For example, he employed, on the surface, you might ask, why did I support Alex Jeffries in his launch? Well, I can tell you, the number one reason why I even mailed for him is because I got approached by his affiliate manager, Gareth. And there was no pushiness, there was nothing up front. It was just having a chat, getting to know each other. And then, it was almost like, okay, of course, I'll go and help you. I also, by the way, I will never, ever push shit on my list, okay? It's just the most stupid thing you can ever do. I've made that mistake in the beginning a couple of times, not in the sense that I intentionally put some crap out there. It was just something where I dropped the ball and it was crap. And it just comes around, bites you in the ass. That is years ago, and it's never going to happen again. So Alex Jeffries' stuff, even if you don't like him personally, in a way, in the beginning, do you remember in the beginning I said there's that whole comfort zone thing, alrighty? Whenever you've got the feeling something doesn't feel right, that is a warning sign to you to pay extra attention and see what is going on there. Why does that, not resonate with me? What's going on here? Anyway, let's go through these questions here. How can you make a product so unique that it isn't subject to price or other comparison? Well, it's not necessarily the product itself. It's the presentation. And by the way, when I say presentation, I object big time to the perceived value idea that's out there. Hey, you just add an extra audio, so there is higher perceived value. Not a big fan of that, but it basically starts with what people want. You need to find out exactly what people want. The emphasis is on want, not need. people want certain problems solved, and you then need to go in and solve them in a very unique way. And let's take an example from offline. Offline, most people get pitched with, I can get you more clients. Now, I've got one client, or worked with a lady. He's a real estate agent in the US, and my first thing I go in is like, how do you get pitched at the moment? And she goes, well, everyone says, I can get you more clients. And she says, that's my biggest headache. I don't want everyone. I want high-value clients. I don't want to deal with all these other Muppets all day long. Those are my words, not her words. So the most important thing for her was, I want high-value clients, people who are genuinely interested in buying a $20 million home, and no one else. So she can focus all her energy on those people. And that is how you can go out and position your product, which is basically getting leads. That's all people do for her. They get leads. But by going in and understanding what she truly wants, which is high-value clients, you now position it in a way. And of course, someone else might come along and say, well, I can get you high-value clients. You can then go in and do a further analysis what she really wants, which is high-value clients who want to buy houses in XYZ, who have whatever certain affiliations, whatever, etc., etc. So you were at the role in the company if you were all over the place then. What? You were at the role in the company, Kimberly? I'm not sure what you mean. Why did I only get the success story thing on an intellectual level? Seems obvious to put in practice. Okay. Why? That's a very good question. Why did I not get it? I can't tell you why it took a long time to get. Because you have to experience it. You have to see what happens when suddenly you've got a success story there, and everyone starts flocking to you and basically overloading with demands. Hey, I want you too. It's like, okay, now it makes sense. And look at the difference between a genuine success story and a fake success story. If you look at the Warrior Forum as an example, there's a ton of fake stuff going on there. And that is where the bullshit meter goes off. Boom, it's not a real success story. Thank you very much. But look at any really successful product out there. They generally usually have a very successful or very good success story on them. Cass is asking, what is Alex Jeffries known for? What is his one product? When I say the one product, his one product is his coaching. Okay, he started a few years back doing coaching in a group. And by the way, careful with this coaching thing. We'll get back to that later on. Coaching is a very loosely used or inappropriately used term on the internet. Coaching, in my opinion, is totally different from what's out there. What's out there is group training. But never mind. So he does group training and or coaching. And yeah, he made some mistakes in the beginning and he's doing it better now. That's his one thing. That's what Alex Jeffries does. And it's all based on business fundamentals. Okay, so with Alex Jeffries, you don't get much in the sense of, hey, let's do some CPA stuff, or let's do some, AdSense, etc., etc. Which is incidentally why I, even talk to him, because I don't buy into the whole like, hey, you can money. The other day, someone approached me, hey, do you want to promote my product? It's about making money with CPA offers in the adult niche. It's like, yeah, no, thank you. So, what's the next thing here? Oh, and by the way, when I say one product, it doesn't mean you can't have multiple front-end products. For example, if you've got one main product and you want to funnel people in from slightly different target markets, the main product makes all sense to all of them. So let's say you've got what shall we use? A video marketing product. Okay, I can show you how to create great videos and then get them ranked in YouTube, and then they get you lots of visitors to your website. Okay, that's my product. Let's pretend for a second that's my product. Now you could have different front-end products. One aimed at, let's say, coaches. coaches who want to attract more people through the internet. You could have another one that's aimed at dentists. You could have another one, etc., etc. So there's not saying, when I say one product, I'm not saying you have only one front-end product, but the thing you're known for, that is the one product. Okay, just to clarify that one. Alrighty. Evelyn, theoretically, I get it. This is why folks sell WSOs for instant credibility. It doesn't work, of course. So in the offline business, how does this apply? Let's say I focus on reputation marketing. I haven't done it as yet. I do have offline clients. Are you suggesting that I should do RM, reputation management, for no cost, a model I used to launch my business, actually, so I know what that works, then use the results by testimonials to launch myself as an RM expert for this area? In theory, what are you saying there? Yes, it's a good approach. Just do some free work on, as long as the following is in place. Okay, a lot of people lack the confidence when they go into offline marketing, and as a result, give away a lot of free stuff, free consultations, free trainings, etc., etc. Okay, a free consultation, whether it's for coaching, whether it's for offline consulting, whatever it is, the purpose of that consultation is to figure out if you are a good fit. If they've got a problem that you can solve or help them solve where they have a positive ROI. That is the purpose of that initial free consultation. The free consultation is not to turn around their business, to do their marketing, etc., all that for free. Okay, so if you go out and you've got existing clients, I would focus on them and say, look, let me add this. If it works for you, you pay me afterwards. Okay, let's make it a totally no risk proposition here, but I expect to get paid because I put in work, it's real work, and it gets real results, and therefore I expect to get paid. But because you're an existing client, I'll do it up front, I'll do the work up front, and once you get results, you pay me. That's how I would do it. It's just very, very important that you understand when you go out there and do this kind of stuff that you don't give away the farm. Because not only are you working for nothing, and by the way, this is not unique to the offline marketing world. You see, if you go on forums, personal fitness trainers, they do exactly the same thing. They give away all these free sessions to convince people that they've got the goods. And then people go, oh, I've got everything I wanted. I'm fit now. Boom, thank you very much. Okay, so very important though. So, James says, Alex imparts a lot of good sense if you listen carefully. Learned a huge amount of him. Yes, with Alex, it's kind of, he is a bit long-winded in my opinion, but there's a lot of good stuff under there. And he's of course, in terms of personality, he comes across as someone who's, well, again, a geezer. I hope everyone understands the word geezer, okay? And that is one of the things why a lot of people are turned off and then stop themselves really getting into the content. So, I'm the antithesis of what you are teaching, thus my lack of success. How do you narrow down to the one core product? Ironically, the thing I'm best known best for is I don't want to do. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We go through the process in a minute, okay? That'll help you with exactly this. Sometimes unique can be as simple as your character. One of the reasons I buy from Fight is you're just an offbeat crack up with a great philosophy and set of values. Thank you. And all of the BSOs with lots of testimonials sell like cupcakes. Well, yes, they do, but there's a different reason for that. Okay, the reason why the BSOs sell so well is because they're fulfilling a different need. They're fulfilling the and if you haven't seen the videos on bare knuckle productivity, go to bare knuckle productivity. I'm meaning to unlock them. Okay, they're hidden behind a sign up page. Someone remind me, send me an email on Monday to put them just straight on the page. Okay, it explains exactly why that stuff is selling so well. It's all basically it's almost like an addiction. Okay, so we're not supposed to believe the guy who makes $721,000 in 21. No, you're not supposed to believe him. Do you have a favorite example? Do you have a good example? Yes, we're getting to a good example. To one success story. Judging by how many people are successful that trained with Alex, he must be doing something right. Yes, I would say so. Eben Pagan comes to mind, yes. Although, well, actually, Eben Pagan has one of those success stories. His name is, it's a Nordic name, Danish. What's his name? He's a coach. He teaches coaches. And I remember when he started with Eben, he was charging $500 for his program, and he's now charging $5,000. And it went up very, very quickly. We were briefly in contact back then when I got started. Consultations is for finding problems you can solve. Exactly. Intellectually, I understand USP. I've tried to write them. Don't write them. No, no, no. It's creating a real USP, not the one that sounds good, where it becomes what you really want to deliver. Tell you what, USP, it's a bad term. Really what it should be is a unique buying proposition, not a selling proposition, but a buying proposition. Why do people come to you as opposed to going to somewhere else? And I've got a PDF somewhere that helps you with that. If you send me an email on Monday, not today, I can dig that out. How do I formulate or pinpoint my USP? Exactly. I've got a thing there. I can have it. All right. God, we're going a bit slow here. This is supposed to be a 20-minute presentation. No, kidding. Alrighty. Number 4 was hyper-targeted target audience. Number 5, one precisely defined problem. Or if you've seen my previous video, a problem-solving proposition. And then, of course, your unique position in the marketplace. That is the blue ocean thing. And finally, one success story. If you have these in place, you're all set. Okay. Now, this in itself would be bloody scary, and it would also be an excuse to procrastinate. Because if you have to go and put all this into place, you'll forever plan and strategize and come up with your plan and never implement. So what we're going to do now is look at a couple of things, how we can put this into something that's more tangible to get away from this whole muddy mess into something that is working a bit faster. If you give me 1 second, my wife has just come back and she doesn't seem to be aware that I'm doing something very, very important. Give me 1 second here. Alrighty, so what we want is escape velocity, right? This is once again, I tell you what, when I started, I did some affiliate marketing, and the first sale I made was for $600. Super lucky, using, I think it was Hub Pages or Squidoo lenses. Back then didn't have any tracking in it, had no idea where the sale came from, but it was one of those two, Hub Pages or Squidoo. Now that instantly put this thing into my mind where I went, and I'm going to use the original words from back then, this shit works. Unbelievable. I mean, truly unbelievable. I just put up some Hub Pages, and look, I've made $600. Isn't that awesome? It is the most important thing, this escape velocity or momentum, building up momentum, okay? You need to build up something where you have a certain momentum. If you plan forever, you're always going to fall back. And incidentally, let's look at this picture of mud one more time. Every time, no, we want mud. Every time you buy a new course, you go out and you grab them and look, oh, look, this looks shiny, or this looks interesting, oh, this is surely the solution to all my problems. You're basically adding to the mud. You're muddying your perspective. You're going away from your plan, what you really wanted to do, and you're just making it more and more difficult. The little family interrupts are also very familiar at this end too. Love it. Well, yes, I was going to do this in the office, obviously, but then being a bad husband, I hadn't realized that my wife was going to be away all day, and hence I was on kids' duty. So, right, let's look at, and this is what I'm going to do now. What I'm going to give you now is a couple of examples of a few insights we had with David. Okay, David is my latest coaching student, and we've done a couple of sessions just only this week. And I'll give you some examples because this is some kind of stuff you can apply straight away in practice. And the first one, of course, is overload, right? The way David put it is he's waking up in the morning and he's stressed. He's already stressed thinking about the work he needs to do. And more specifically, he was stressed, or is stressed, about all the work he already knows is not going to happen. So the first thing I want to encourage you to do is get yourself a to-do list, right? So let me ask you a question. Who here has a to-do list? Type in yes or no if you've got a to-do list you are actually using on a regular basis. Yes, 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 far too many. To-do list of to-do lists, exactly. So mostly, got a whiteboard with to-do lists on it, exactly. Yes, 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 gets longer and longer. All right, I don't even need to ask then, if you've got more than 6 items on there. So by the responses I'm getting here, there are far too many things on there. And that is exactly the problem. It goes back to when you've got something that is muddied. If you don't have, and the 7 points we did at the beginning, we'll apply them in a second here. If you've got the lack of clarity, because you're not quite sure exactly where you're going to go, everything needs to be done. Everything needs to go onto your to-do list, especially when you are selbstständig, self and always. You are the only person who is doing this stuff. Of course, it's going to load up. And the other thing that's happening is that you are not focusing on the things you know you should be focusing on, but you're really rather doing the easy stuff. So the one thing I'm going to give you here, we're going to go to 3 or 4 steps. In order to reduce overload, in order to achieve anything, you have to have a very specific goals. You have to have very specific, measurable outcomes. And most people go, well, I'll reduce the workload. I'll get better at doing my to-do list, or whatever it is, right? I encourage you to look at overload, the stress of waking up and going, oh God, there's already so much to be done on this thing, and working on your to-do list. And the way you measure it, rather than going, well, it's getting shorter and shorter, is what we've come up with, David, is that we're going to go for a measure between 1 and 10. 1 is he's not stressed at all, and 10, he's stressed to the max. And his objective is, his current level of stress is a 7 or an 8. And within the next 3 weeks, he wants to get it down to 4 to 5. Simply by starting to focusing on the 7 steps we had above applied to his current business. Okay? So that's his objective. So what I encourage you is to, rather than go black and white, go, I hate or I love or I'm totally doing it or not doing it, just do a gradual improvement. So David was going from 7 or 8 out of 10 down to 4 or 5. That's the stress level or stress reduction he wants to achieve. Tony has never more than 4 on the daily to-do list. Excellent. That was really good. All right, goal setting. This is a huge one. Okay, so in case you are not familiar with my sordid backstory, here we go. I did not pay attention to the one big warning they give you when you go to Asian countries. We went to Turkey on our honeymoon in 2002, and the one thing they told me was, do not eat the forbidden fruit. And forbidden in this case is the unwashed fruit. If you eat fruit or vegetables that are not washed, you're going to have really bad diarrhea. And so I did eat the unwashed fruit and all the other good stuff that came with it. Really, really bad. The end result of this was a 1.5 years of chronic fatigue caused by, I've forgotten what it is. It's basically an amoeba-like thing that lived in my gut. Incidentally, it's still there. It's virtually impossible to get rid of. Okay, I just had it tested the other day by my, natural remedy quack. By the way, I totally believe in natural remedies, so it's okay, and he's okay being called a quack. They're still there, virtually impossible to get rid of. But for a 1.5 years, it was so bad that I had chronic fatigue. Now, the end result of chronic fatigue was that I got depressed. I mean, I wasn't even aware of it, but I suddenly went, hang on, I'm depressed because I'm naturally a very, happy person. And suddenly it was like this semi-darkness everywhere all the time. It's just like, this heaviness. So anyway, I thought, all right, I need to get break out of this, and basically it manifests by lack of performance at work. When you're extremely tired, it is rather hard to concentrate and work properly. Back then I was working at Siemens. So I got into personal development. And in personal development, what they tell you is you have to set big, hairy, audacious goals. It's a term, I think it comes from Stephen Covey, who's, by the way, Stephen Covey, known for his one product. He's made gazillions using his 7 habits for effective people, or whatever it's called. Your daughter contacted the same thing in Brazil. Yes, Stan, if she still has it, contact me later on. It's not an incurable thing. You can fix it totally. So 7 habits, exactly. Stephen Covey, known for the 7 habits, nothing else. But his company does time management, it does writing courses, it does all kinds of courses, and he's making a lot of money with it. So, anyway, Stephen Covey's thing is, and by the way, I totally object to Stephen. I don't object to Stephen Covey. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I object to courses that are put out, I'm just calling it a course now, by people like Stephen Covey, because Stephen Covey is naturally good at being organized. And he's aiming his course at people who are naturally rubbish at being organized. Okay? Same goes for David Allen. David Allen, getting things done. That's his one product, made a lot of money off it. David Allen, I'm sure, is naturally very good at being organized and getting things done. Yet he's making all his money by selling the stuff to people who are naturally unorganized and not getting things done. And because they're naturally not very good at it, the chances of them achieving something are very low. Anyway, let's go back to the big, hairy, audacious goals. Got into personal development, started setting big goals, and the one big goal that I was told I could totally achieve if I only focus enough on it and let the universe sort out the rest, and make it really visual, and I can almost grasp it, was that I was going to have a series of fast food restaurants, a chain of fast food restaurants that serve healthy food. I was, and still am, big time into sports, cycling, triathlon, running, and I'm into healthy food. So I thought, there you go. That's what I want to have. And I could totally, I kid you not, I could totally feel it. The funny moment I still, it's vividly in my head, is I was sitting in the toilets, lovely dark cubicles in this building, working for Siemens, and had my headphones in my head and visualizing how and I could feel it. Genuinely, I was excited. The hair at the back of my neck was standing up. It was so real that I was going to have these, we're celebrating the 50th opening of the 50th restaurant in this chain. And guess what? I've never ever opened a single restaurant. Now the question is why? Because at that point I had no track record of being self-employed. I had no track record of even writing a business plan and approaching venture capitalists. I had no track record running a business. I had no track record opening a restaurant, running a restaurant, even understanding how a restaurant works. Okay? And that is one of the biggest problems I keep seeing when people go, right, you now have to go, it's your mindset. You have to go and set big, hairy, audacious goals. I'm not saying you set tiny goals. All I'm saying is when you set goals, and this is the most important thing, you set goals that are based on something where you already have a track record of success, where you can transfer that feeling of, yes, I've got some experience, to another field. It doesn't have to be exactly the same thing. It could be something you've already done, and you build it up a little bit, so you expand your comfort zone, and can feel uncomfortable, but that's fine. Or you have a similar discipline. So in David's example, David has built and run several offline businesses. Lots of money, big ones. Online, he's going, well, I don't know where to go. We've now gone to the point where we go, right, let's look at things you've done in your offline business which you can transfer one-to-one to online. Now you've got a track record in that area, and suddenly his numbers went up. It's like, oh, that's not very much money at all. Suddenly the number he was aiming for is a mere validation test, because he now understands that he's got a track record of success in a certain area and he can transfer those skills. So if and when you write your plan and you go, and I'm starting to set some goals here, make sure it is based on something that is real, in the sense of you have some experience. Okay, otherwise it's going to stay a wishful thinking. Let's look at the next one here. A very important one is the tracking of progress. Okay, a lot of people go in and go, I want to achieve something. I want to make some money. And we're going to breeze through this slide here. I'll make it very, very simple. It's a homework I gave David. Okay. Whenever you see yourself saying, oh, I want to achieve something, something needs to happen, that's a huge warning sign that you've basically not defined the problem. And if you haven't defined the problem, you can't track progress. So this brings us back to Getting Things Done by David Allen. The whole book, the 250 pages or so, can be condensed to page 234, whatever it is, which is the one thing, or where it says that whenever you've got a to-do list, you want to have a next step where there's absolutely no doubt in your mind you can do it. I think the example he gives in the book is this. Everyone's sitting together in a meeting, and the outcome is we need to design a website. Well, designing a website is not the next step. The next step is picking up the phone and phoning the following number. They have the number there. You don't have to search for the number. This is the number you need to phone to get the web designer on board who's going to do the website. That is the level of specificity you need. Okay. Once you've broken down your problems into that level, these are the 6 things I'm doing today, then you can start tracking progress. Whenever you think, today I'm going to do something on my website, I'm going to do something for my marketing, I'm going to do something, you've already lost. Alrighty, next point. Now we can take all of the above. Alrighty, this is the culmination of this entire presentation. What I'd like you to do is, this is a homework, write it down. Take all the list of opportunities, all the plans you have, everything you've got, and take all of the above and test your opportunities and ideas against what we've got above. Okay, we had the 7 points starting from at the bottom, having one success story all the way up to at the very beginning. What was my first point? The power of one. I can't remember, but you'll remember. Okay. You take a 7 point, the evergreen sales funnel. Thank you very much. Right. So you've got the 7 points, and you basically check your ideas and opportunities against it, and then you go through the previous slides here. I'll get those slides to you. Okay. For the first time ever, not for the first time ever, but for the first time in a long time, I have a presentation which contains 100% legal images. None of them were downloaded from imagesgoogle.com, and therefore can share this presentation. Isn't that awesome? So I'll get that presentation to you in case you didn't take notes, and you can go through it. Okay. So what I want you to do is take all your current plans, current ideas and opportunities, and check them against not only the 7 points up there, can I get a success story? Can I get that evergreen sales funnel? Can I get all this kind of stuff? And then also with the planning, do I actually have the track record of success in the skills that are required to make this happen? Alrighty. Now, there's one big thing that keeps coming up over and over again, and that is the you or publisher. Hang on, give me 1 second here. For a sec, I thought I'd not heard you write about having the slides. Thanks. No, you can have the slides, yes. So, the one thing I keep hearing over and over again in emails, in the coaching, etc., is, but I have no idea in what market I can provide value. I don't know, if I can do it, etc., Another huge insight is you don't have to do it necessarily. You can be the publisher. Okay. Look at the curation sites. The Huffington Post, they didn't really create any of the content. A lot of products out there, especially if you hang out in entrepreneurial circles, if you've ever been to any of these personal development things, you'll find, or you get in touch with a lot of real entrepreneurs, okay, who set up businesses, grow the businesses, sell the businesses. And in many, many cases, they're not the ones doing all the work or creating all the content. Now, if your personality is such that you want to create all the content, fine, then you're the content creator. And then you get other people to do the marketing and driving the traffic. But if you're saying, well, actually, this whole content creation thing is not mine, but identifying the target market, putting the pieces into place, that is where my forte is. Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So always think about anything you're looking at in two perspectives, as am I the person who's doing this, or am I only the publisher for someone else? Alrighty. Here is finally the example, and I've run out of tea. It's terrible. Alrighty. I tell you what, whilst you look at this, ivideoheroes.com, have a quick look at the page there. That is the one example we're going to look at in a minute, but I'm just going to grab a glass of water. Alrighty, iVideo Heroes by Jules Watkins, in case you haven't seen it yet. This is one example I'm showing you to illustrate that the above, although it kind of, it can be a little bit scary, okay? All that stuff up there, we talked about, these 7 checkpoints almost, yes, they need to be in place, but it's not a case of this is going to be super complicated. In practice, this can be fairly straightforward. So Jules Watkins is an ex-cameraman, or actually producer, film producer, but he also did a lot of filming. And he put together a nice little product, which is based on, the very simple thing, you can do videos with your iPhone. Incidentally, does anyone care to guess why he chose iVideo Heroes as opposed to videoheroes.com? Let's assume for the time being that the domain was available. There was a very specific reason why he went for the iVideo as opposed to video. Highly targeted to iPhone users, yes. Exactly. Playing off Apple's branding. Not only playing off Apple's branding, exactly. How to target. Why would you want to target iPhone users? Yeah, a lot of people got it right here. Wanted to target iPhone users. Why? Laser focused. Doesn't talk to anyone else. Yes, why? They are maniacs. Exactly. They are maniacs. That's why. Very well done. Very well said. Because iPhone users are, or Apple users are, like they're a tribe. They are dedicated to the cause. You don't buy an iPhone because you just want to make phone calls. It's because it's an Apple iPhone. That's the number one thing. It's like you're either with me or you're without me. I mean, they are pretty much black and white. The second one is iPhones cost a lot of money. So anyone who's actively using an iPhone in their business has a bit more money than someone else who's using whatever, a crappy little phone. Okay? And I'm not saying that here, crappy little, that came out totally wrong. It's not meant that way. But you get the idea. Okay? Jules went out and made a very specific decision to go after the iPhone users because they're a great target market, because they're totally, this is, black and white, you're with me or without me, and they've got money. So it's awesome. I'm on the dark side using Android. I tell you what, I've got an iPhone because I inherited it. And the other day I looked at how I use it. The user statistics are a few minutes a month making phone calls. The number of SMSs I'm sending is, I can count on a hand or two. And the amount of stuff I download is virtually nil. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm on the cheapest plan I can get because I'm not much of an iPhone or a phone user at all. Alrighty, anyway. This one here has all the elements in there. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because it's not a very complicated product. As you can see and it's a very good product, by the way. It's a lovely product. Jules keeps updating it. If you're on his email list, he keeps sending out great tips and tricks all the time on how to use your iPhone, the latest developments for doing videos, etc., etc. It's a lovely product. I can truly recommend it. Jules is a lovely guy. But here's the important thing: it's a relatively simple product. It's something you could imagine finding on something like the Warrior Forum for, I don't know, $17. Okay, it's not rocket science. He's gone in there and he's basically gone through all the steps, what people need in order to create a great video using an iPhone. And he put it in there as video trainings, the screen capture, and that's it. So it's the product creation. This goes back to my initial question: how difficult can it be? Well, the product creation was not very difficult. It was screen captures. That's it. He did some research, tried out different audio sockets, video holders, sort of Steadicam type things. He did the market research, no doubt about it. But overall, it's not very complicated. The offer you can see in front of yourself. He was basically, testing different things. Unfortunately, he's got some great success stories in there. He's got some wonderful testimonials. He's got some great samples of work on there. Once again, people immediately go, it can be done, obviously. Jules obviously can do it, but look, other people can do it too. That means I can do it too. And finally, the traffic thing. Well, Jules went out and sold a $97 product with pretty much exclusively affiliate traffic. He just approached a ton of people, gave away review copies to the top bloggers and said, hey guys, do you want to check this out? He got some fantastic feedback. And there was no bribing involved, anything. He just said, hey, I've got this new course, do you want to check it out? The top guys in the industry looked at it and said, this is awesome, and they did promote it. And Jules didn't go to them in order to get someone to promote it. He just wanted some honest feedback. Very, very important. He just wanted some feedback. They loved it, and it all happened from there, because as soon as you see the top dogs in your market going, this is an awesome product, it's so much easier for an affiliate to go and promote this to their list. And he sold in a very short time. Last time I spoke to him, that was shortly after his launch, 1,000 copies. Now you do 97 times 1,000. That's a whole lot of money. Very, very quickly. Okay? With one product where he used a very simple traffic strategy, namely get other people to do the traffic for him. And he got that by having an offer that converted at such a point that people said, yes, that's a high enough EPC for me. And the product itself was very simple. So, let me just quickly look at the comments here before we move on. The key stumbling block, outsourcing. You still can't do the one thing in your business you should be doing because you spend most of your time being a human resources manager. I found that with outsourcing, you almost always get incompetent or unreliable, non-producing people working for you. Okay, I'm going to stop that right now, that comment, because it goes on. With outsourcing, if you hire, I'm going to quote you here now, if you hire incompetent, unreliable, non-producing people, yes, they will be incompetent and unreliable and non-producing. First of all, you're almost always better off not going for the $2 jobs. Okay, pay them a little bit more, pay them whatever, $5, $10 an hour, and you'll get highly motivated people. The second one is you have to be ruthless in your hiring process. You really want to get top talent. And there are other ways of motivating them. They don't necessarily have to get paid top dollar per hour. There can be tons of different ways of motivating them. So anyway, reading on, who you have to spend most of your time supervising and redoing their work. Absolutely. If you get the cheapest, that's what you're going to get. It's not worth it. It's counterintuitive, but I've been there. Okay, no doubt about it. I've been there. I've hired the $1 an hour guy, and guess what? The internet was down because we switched on the fridge, and all the electricity was consumed by the fridge. Okay, cool. And then what happened next? The tiger ate my granny. And then the typhoon came along. All right, complete. I totally agree with you, Stan. That is a huge waste of time. Hire people who are truly motivated, and truly motivated does not start at $1 an hour. How do you tempt, Cass is asking, how do you tempt affiliates who want high EPCs when you have no EPC history to show? There are different models for doing it. In this case, what he simply did was impress the bloggers he approached enough that a couple of them mailed for him, and then from there he had a nice EPC. And that's something you could show. Once again, you know the thing I said about the one success story. Well, having a high EPC is one success story. Yeah? You need one high EPC success story, and you can now approach affiliates. I paid $6,500 to top talent. He took it and produced nothing. Well, that is probably unlucky. It's not the norm. If you've got $6,500, you should expect something better than produce nothing. But then again, at that level of money, you should have milestones in place, and you should very quickly, and you have to do your due diligence. I mean, that sort of money I don't throw around and go, go and play. There'll be certain that's what I said earlier, ruthless tests at the beginning, and if they don't deliver, to give you an example, if you hire writers or designers or anything like that, especially designers, you go out there and go, show me your portfolio, and then they show you a portfolio and it's awesome. Well, fact is, they've been polishing this for 5 years. If you then go in, or then they go get busy on your job, and the next thing you see is like, oh, this is just rubbish. I mean, my daughter, and my daughter's very good, but my youngest daughter could have done that because she's not very good at drawing. What happened there? Well, they didn't have 20 years. If you give me 1 second, this is lovely. No, it's gone. So they didn't have the 5 years to polish it, and as a result, what you're getting is rubbish. So the one thing you can do is basically go out and say, look, I looked at your portfolio, it looks good. We're going to do a small test. Do this now, and you've got whatever, an hour. I want to see this in 1 hour, so you don't have all day to polish it. That'll give you a very good indication of what they're really capable of. Alrighty. So the question now is, how tricky can it be? If we now look at what we just looked at the beginning, and in the beginning we went, all right, there's traffic, there is the offer, there is the whole product thing. Actually, goodness me, give me 1 second. Alrighty. So, how tricky can it be? In practice, I hope this last example of Jules Watkins' success story illustrates it's not that tricky. Okay, I highly encourage you in practice to stay away from the internet marketing niche as a first product, as something as a first thing to try, because it is highly competitive. A lot of people, like someone said earlier, have that bullshit meter up, so it's very difficult to sell something in there. I don't know if you've followed my products. One of my bigger courses in the beginning was bare knuckle productivity, which I sold in the internet marketing niche, and that was fine. And then I sold it in the personal development niche under a different name, and it was so much easier. I mean, it was ridiculous. One webinar is just like, yeah, okay, one webinar took care of like the equivalent of several weeks of hustling and bustling and doing marketing in the internet marketing niche. So It's for you. No, the phone call wasn't for me. Of course not. All right, Stan. It keeps happening. I only take recommended high-end people who usually demand 50% upfront. The problem seems to be that they're young, have minimal attention spans, and because you're dealing with them online rather than face-to-face, seem to have no ethical standards. If they get busy doing something else, they forget about it. Okay, Stan. This may sound horrible, but I'm trying to be helpful here. Okay, if it keeps happening, there's that whole allegedly Albert Einstein quote where they say, if you keep doing the same thing and expect different results, that's the definition of insanity. So if you keep hitting up the same young people and you keep getting the same results, maybe it's time to look elsewhere for sources. Alrighty, what we've got here, we're nearly done, is 2 more slides. No, not this one. Right, this one here is does anyone recognize the title? Okay, without Googling, does anyone immediately know what this is? Who wrote this book? It's a book, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. No, it's by, come on, someone must know it. No, Jay Abraham, okay? It's one of Jay Abraham's books, and the fundamental idea is exactly what it says here. Basically, and this is my motivational speech for today, okay? You basically already know, most likely, everything you need to produce something online, to make money online, if that's what your target is. My preference, of course, is when people go online and say, I want to use the internet as a marketing channel to market something of value, as opposed to saying, I want to make money online. If you just go out and say, I want to make money online no matter how, it could even be CPA traffic to adult offers, then that doesn't get me that excited. But most people already have everything they need to make money online, if we want to use make money online as the overall objective here. If you think you don't have everything you need, then take the example of, for example, Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson was still in college when he started producing his first products, and basically he keeps saying to this day that he has no idea how to create a website. He has absolutely no idea what HTML is, etc., etc. And that hasn't stopped him. He just went out and found really cheap sources to do it for him, the HTML, the boring stuff. So my suggestion to you is that basically you already know everything you need to know. Stop looking for further courses. Stop buying more stuff that muddies your world, that keeps you sucking deeper and deeper into the mud, and instead grab one model you can or want to. Yeah, exactly, the potato launcher king. That's the one. And then just start doing it. So, what we've got here is the road to success. So what I'm going to give you is a little roadmap or some examples in about 5 seconds. This time I left the microphone on so I can hear how I'm dealing with my children, so I don't get accused of something later on. Alright, the road to success. Step 1 is... Come on, PowerPoint, speak to me. Yannick Silva took 10 years to learn how to switch a computer on. Absolutely, yes. Alright, the first thing you want to do is pick one business monetization model that fits you, that fits your personality. Okay, very important. That fits your track record of success, that fits everything, your belief system, your outlook on the world. Now I've got something here for you. This has nothing to do with me. This site is, if you've ever heard of DISC, D-I-S-C, it's a personality type test, which a lot of people use as an excuse to then jump from thing to thing. Okay, one of the outcomes you can have from a DISC test or any personality test is that you're very good at starting stuff and not at finishing stuff. And to me, that is a complete BS excuse. There's even a club in London called the Scanner Club, which is full of people who start stuff and never finish anything, and they go, well, it's my personality. No, you have you may have a predisposition to being easily excited by new ideas. But fact is, once you start implementing what I've told you above, a plan of action, I'm going to give you a couple of examples in a second, a plan of action you truly believe in, you know is going to work for you, based on the fact that you've chosen a model, you've chosen steps where you have a transferable track record of success, as opposed to like this wild thing, castle in the sky thing, that works for someone else but not for you, then there is no more need to jump from thing to thing. And then the excitement is no longer I'm starting something new, but the excitement is today I'm getting up and working on this one project. I'm driving it forward. I'm doing my one role in my one business, and I'm now building this thing, and I'm getting other people to do the stuff I don't like doing. That is a proper use of any result you're getting. Anyway, go to the site 123test.com. That's the numbers 123 and then test.com /disc -personality -test, and at the end you'll get four numbers: one for D, one for I, one for S, one for C. Write them up. On Monday, what I'll do is I'll send you a survey. You put them in there, and what I'll do is I'll give you the marketing response, or my marketing insights of how you can use and should use the results you're getting there. Right. You need to have one plan, and it's one plan you believe in, and the whole believing in is a fancy word, is self-efficacy. Okay, people who want to quit smoking, people who want to lose weight, people want to give up drug addictions, people want to stop buying shiny objects, people want to achieve change in their life. Okay, it's called self-efficacy. It's the true belief that the plan you've got is going to work for you, and it's based on the fact that they're transferring these little steps from something where you already have a track record of success. Okay, and put this thing behind us. Step one. A lot of people go, give me a plan. All these training courses, the so-called group coaching things, which are nothing but group training courses with a bit of feedback thrown in. And there's nothing wrong with it, it just shouldn't be called coaching. All these things are basically based on the plan. There's a plan that works for the guru. And now you're supposed to follow along. And guess what? You hit obstacle after obstacle, and it doesn't work for you. So when people come to me and say, I want a template, I want a step-by-step plan, something I'd follow to the letter and make money, or achieve my goal, get clients, whatever it is, I can tell you, here's the ultimate step-by-step plan. Step one, go and create your own plan. The plan that is full of self-efficacy. You believe it's going to work. It's a little bit more work than copying my plan, but it has instead of having a 5% chance of succeeding, and I kid you not, the odds of having success with someone else's plan online is 5, maybe 10% at most. I mean, look at the number of great success stories out there. Everyone has their one poster girl or boy because they don't have more or many more. I mean, a few people have more, but in general, it's a handful of really successful case studies. Why? Because it's very, very hard to follow a step-by-step plan. So step one is create your own plan. That is the only step-by-step plan you'll ever need. Now for execution. And I've put this here on purpose. Okay, we could have had an executive team or a picture of a train execution, because we all want to take massive action, don't we? And the reality is, this is where the vast majority of people completely fail with the execution. So I'll give you some tips here of how we now take this plan and put it into action. One baby step at a time. And celebrate that baby step, every single step, okay? It is boring as hell. It is so much more exciting to dream of the giant website you're going to have, this, that, or the other. And it is so much more profitable to take one baby step at a time. And at the end of each baby step, you do things. A, you look back and look what you did, and you learn from it. So you don't hire the same idiot again who takes your money and doesn't do anything because they're too young and have no attention span. Sorry, Stan. It's just, well, you get the idea, okay? And the second thing is you celebrate. You celebrate that you look back. Most people look forward. They look for this giant goal and then they're not getting closer, right? Especially when you've never made any money online. If you've never gotten that first client, you're looking forward and you see other people are getting clients. Other people are making money online. How come I'm not there? And then you look at all the other stuff that needs to happen before you get there and you go, oh, holy crap. It's just too much. Okay? Nothing is more disillusioning than having that perspective. It's much better to look at one baby step at a time and go, awesome, this has worked. Let me celebrate. It just may seem like nothing to other people, but to me it is the world. And that's going to build up momentum. That rocket, I showed in the beginning, yeah? The rocket lifting off and creating momentum. Number 2, this one here, oh, so intellectually makes sense, and in practice you have to experience this. Look at this, ABC, 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 ABC. We've got 3 projects. They're called A, B, and C. And because we are not focusing on one thing, we are, not you, not I, it's all other people, okay? They are doing a little bit of A, a little bit of C, a little bit of B, or ABC. Unfortunately, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps to finish the project. Now, you only start making money once your project is finished. Now, I could use this approach here, the ABC, 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 like most people do. They avoid the uncomfortable stuff, the big rocks, the whatever you want to call them, and they do the easy stuff first and end up the day with going, oh, the one thing I should have done, I haven't done, but I'll do it tomorrow, yeah, honest. So as a result, they've got this sequence, ABC, ABC, ABC. So what you can see here now, I need to count them. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 steps before Project A starts making money. Now that is an awful long time not to be making money, not to be getting any cash in the bank. You'd be much better going, you know what, I'm going to do A, 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 A. 6 steps later, I'm making money. That's 10 steps earlier than doing this ABC, ABC. So if you're multitasking and going, oh, I'm so excited about this, and this is going to make me lots of money, you are kidding yourself. Okay, the number one enemy of making money, whether it's online or offline or whatever, is ABC, ABC, multitasking. Alrighty. The Hotel Secret, something I learned from Jimmy D. Brown. It makes so much sense intellectually, and you have to experience the power of this. Go to a hotel that does not have Wi-Fi, lock yourself in and get busy. Yes, you're paying whatever, a few bucks to be in that hotel. And you will create more content, create more marketing plan, create more whatever it is you want to create in that one day in the hotel. You're not even staying the night, okay? Or maybe you want to stay the night, whatever. In those few hours in the hotel, then spending a day or a week at your desk where you have access to internet and Skype and all kinds of messengers and your favorite websites and all that good stuff. Books and magazines, a coffee machine. No, you want a really cheap hotel that doesn't have any of that stuff. No Wi-Fi, no internet, no computer, no library. Ideally, no coffee. Well, maybe you need coffee, but there you go. That's what you want to do. I don't know if I put this down here in the next one. No. Along with the cheaper hotel secret is this. Once again, it's counterintuitive. Just try it, please. Rather than go out and do a massive push, I'm going to have this massive plan now. I'm going to be busy, whatever, 5 hours a day, super duper. I'm going to be a huge success. Go out and commit to doing half an hour or 1 hour or an hour and a half or whatever. And then you goof off. Commit to doing nothing but the one thing, the one work that needs to be done, the A or the B or the C or whatever project you're on. Do that for 1 hour, and then you go play some golf, or go ride your bike, or play with the kids. But for that 1 hour, there is nothing else. And I can guarantee you will get more done in that 1 hour than most people get done in a day. So let me have. Okay, I would need a different laptop. Mine has UMTS. Okay, go into the mountains. Fired. You do not need to stay at a hotel. Just go to the foyer of a big hotel. Buy coffee, no internet. Yeah, but look, if you're in the foyer of a big hotel, then you're tempted to look at people and no, go into a room, go into a remote room. Norbert says, that's exactly what I do to create stuff. Every year I go to a few weeks to a hotel in Madeira, no broadband to work. Fantastic to hear someone that advocate non-multitasking. I hate breaking the day up. I just need to concentrate. Exactly. It sounds like the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro is, yeah, somewhat similar. Pomodoro, the essence of Pomodoro is to work in 25-minute chunks because that's how how you're wired. You have these natural ups and downs, and you can focus for 25 minutes solid, maybe a bit more. I tell you what, when we studied for our exams at university, I mean, God, it was a long time ago, 94, we did exactly that, 45 minutes of hardcore study. We're sitting in a room, 5 people, studying, and there was no asking questions, there was nothing, no communication, but the group basically held us accountable. There was no getting up, there was no going to the loo, there was no drinking anything, there was study. We studied for 45 minutes, and guess what? Our group did exceptionally well in exams because it was boring. My God, it was boring. But we got so much done that we finished top in our year. Alrighty, 4 activities. I wish I could give you a template of what you want to do, but the 4 activities you want to do every day change depending where you are in your in the cycle of what you're doing. The one activity I would. Okay, I have a quiz question for you. Let me see if I can put this in here. Okay, let's say you're creating product. Then, of course, one of the activities is creating product. You always, of course, want to be selling or doing some selling-related activities, whether it's building up buzz, whether it's getting feedback from people, whether it's doing market research. I group all of that into market research. Now, here's a quiz question. I did promote Alex Jeffrey's course. Why do you think I did it? What do you think was my main motivation, my main reason why I promoted Alex Jeffrey's Money Trigger? Because I believe in it, to get people on this webinar, hope it helps us to win affiliate prize, to see who would react, back scratching, testing the strategy, get people on the webinar, so you'd market something of mine, so promote next time. All of those are very valid reasons. Testing a theory, they're all valid, absolutely. They're not the main reason. The main reason is Gareth, who is Alex Jeffrey's affiliate manager. Because we'd built up a personal relationship, Gareth asked me, hey, can you support us on this launch? I said, Gareth, sure. If it's a good product, show me the product. I had a look at it. Boom. There we go. I kid you not, okay? I'm not making this shit up. That is the one and only reason why I even looked at their product. It was the personal relationship. And if you look at any market, whether it's online or offline, if there is one secret to getting in there and getting JV support, getting great feedback, getting a social following, is by whatever you want to call it, relationship building, networking, whatever it is you do. Okay. All I want to say is, of the 4 activities you do, make one some relationship building. Reach out to other people. And I'll give you one massive hint. My inbox, I haven't set up the filter. I should be doing this, okay? Any email that comes in that has the word opportunity in it should automatically be deleted. Right? When you start building relationships, do not ever, under any circumstances, approach them with an opportunity. I've got a great opportunity here. Gareth didn't do that. He was just checking in how I was doing. He saw I'd promoted for them before, just wanted to see what I liked, what I didn't like, how it was going, chatting about whales, skydiving, cool stuff. Build real relationships. When Jules Watkins went out and presented his product to the big bloggers, yes, he was hoping that some would give him some, love, if you like. But, and I've talked to Jules about this behind the scenes, there's no marketing activity, etc. Okay, he was genuinely looking for feedback from the big guys, the influential guys. He wanted feedback, and all the other stuff, the promoting by them and then putting it on their blog, was all gravy. So when you reach out, when you start building relationships, make sure it is with the intention of serving, of getting feedback, but it's not with the intention of, hey, I've got an opportunity. Tony says, I've lost several of your emails because it had WSO in the subject line. I filtered those out to stop shiny objects. Yeah, fair enough. Good pointer. I shall not put it in there anymore. Well, plus I'm moving away big time from using the WSO model. I'm doing a couple from time to time as different parts of the front end of my sales funnel, but that's it. Because, like I said earlier, they're too stressful, and you never actually get something that is truly optimized. So, off to the summit. I'm personally more of a mountaineer in mountains that have trees on them, but some people love this kind of stuff. What I've got for you is, if it's okay, I'll talk about it for 1 minute. If you want more help with this, I've got coaching. Right? If you want coaching, and by the way, it is proper coaching. Go and read about it. I'm not going to persuade you, convince you. I'm not going to use any fake scarcity. I have some coaching. It can help some people. It is more aimed at people who are at the level where they think they can knock out something like, for example, Jules Watkins, something that makes 97 grand, or he's made more, but in a few weeks. Someone who truly thinks, and read the coaching thing. It's basically a conversation I had with David only a few weeks ago. It'll give you an insight into what this is, and then if you're interested, cool. If not, that's cool too. And that's the end of my pitch. Right? The only thing I'm going to say is this, yeah. You have my email. There it is again, replytofight@googlemail.com. If you've got any questions around this, which you don't want to put in the public, feel free to hit me up. Do not put opportunity in the email or subject line or in the email. Okay, it gets filtered out from now on. Do it in a different way, and I kid you not. I've got a few people who emailed me and said, "Oh, look, here's this other guru, and he completely ignored me, or he didn't like me, or something like that." Yes, because. To give you another example, someone wrote to me and said, look, I've been on your email list and I've read all your emails, so I feel I now have paid my dues and it's okay for me to send you this. I can't remember what it was. It's a home-based MLM type thing, right? That's not how you build relationships. So if you have any questions, hit me up on replytofight@googlemail.com. The only thing I want to say is I am contemplating doing a group training program. At the moment, I don't have one, and it would have to be killer, if I can use that word. Okay, I don't agree with most of the allegedly group coaching programs out there. I think they're rubbish because, as you've seen in this presentation, it is everyone's path is too individual to truly follow a step-by-step thing. So I wouldn't feel comfortable. I couldn't ethically put on a step-by-step group training program. It just doesn't work. And that's why I'm thinking of doing it, but it's not quite there yet. But if you're interested in such a thing, send me an email. Just reach out to me and say, look, I'd be interested. Here's my background. This is kind of the stuff I would like to do. And maybe I can come up with something. But it's just an idea at the moment. Right. With that, to the Q&A. Look, I'm so proud I managed to turn the Q&A at an angle. Isn't that cool? And it was accidental. I just pressed Control and an arrow key and suddenly started turning. So, questions? All right, Larry, what is the 4 activities? Okay, the 4 activities is where I said I can't give you a template, right? Everyone, I picked this up a few years ago from a guy I haven't heard from since, therefore I don't know his name, but what he had was a sheet of paper with a cross in the middle, so you had 4 quadrants. Today I'm going to concentrate on relationship building was 1 quadrant, product building another one, some sales activity in the other, and then whatever his 4th was. And I've picked that up, and that's a very nice way. Although it appears to be multitasking, it's not. It's all activities related to your one thing, whether it's A, B, or C. The problem is, if you create product, and then it's ready to launch, and you haven't done any relationship building with JVs, you now have to wait another 5 weeks because you now have to do that sequentially. So you're much better off doing some relationship building, doing a little bit of product creation, doing a little bit of whatever needs to be done around whatever you're launching at the moment. It also plays into the hands of, or into the brain, if you like, the way the brain works. These different activities will require different ways of using your brain. Now, for example, relationship building is a very emotional thing. So that's nice, or emotional/spiritual. So you're using that part of you, and then you start doing market research, which is very analytical. And then you do something that requires just a lot of concentration, like, I don't know, proofreading something you've written or something like that. Okay, so that's what I recommend you do, is you look at the overall big chunks that need to be done, write them on a piece of paper in 4 quadrants, and always have one, which is relationship building. Do that on a continual basis. That'll get you moving faster than anything else. And then your to-do list basically does the specifics of those quadrants. So that is the thing there. All right, okay, the questions come in faster than I can answer them. Let me scroll up. All right. It was an extremely fast-moving 2 hours fight. Great content, thanks. Yeah, welcome. Quick question, comment. I can see how this works with the product I'm providing services. Do you have any suggestion as to how best map my previous success from the corporate world to my offline business? I know they exist, but sometimes it is hard to see your own. It's easier to do this for someone else. Is there a process to complete this mapping process, then determine how to use that success best in my new world? Totally self-serving, of course, would be to hire me as a coach if it's a good fit, but kidding aside, well, it's not kidding aside. If it's a good fit and it gets you further, faster, where you want to get to, it might be a good fit. Without knowing what your previous successes were in the corporate world, it's very difficult to answer that. The one thing I can highlight here is do not differentiate between product and service. Okay, product, or wrap up a service as a product with the intention of making it something you can have other people do at the end of the day. So you're not the one who's doing all the work. I kind of explained that earlier on. And if they exist, sometimes you see hard by to see your own. That is exactly the point where you have an outside perspective, whether it's a coach, whether it's a mentor, whatever. It could be mastermind group. That's why you need external eyes on this whole thing. And by the way, the whole thing with both the coaching I mentioned on the previous page or the group training is, I don't want to give or if I were to go out, like a lot of other people go, it's like, get my training and you'll make 100 grand. Well, no. I encourage you, even if you're not even remotely interested in coaching, I encourage you to read that letter, okay? Because David had very, very good questions here. I'll just pop that up for 1 second. Yeah, onlinerule.com/coaching. Just read through that thing because it'll be quite instructive. And now I've lost my train of thought. What is the whole processing, determine what boosts, how to use my success best in my new world? Exactly. No, find someone with an external perspective. That is the best thing. My final point was, I'm not making any promises because it depends on how much time you can put into this, what your existing track record of success is. Jules went from 0 to nearly 6 figures, and now it is 6 figures in the space of a few weeks, because he'd worked for himself as a producer. He was used to working by himself for himself. He knew how to direct other people, so he had his outsourcers create the graphics, etc. So boom, a few weeks. Thank you very much. But in my opinion, it's unethical to have a blanket X declaration. If you do this program, you will make X. Okay, just as you've seen, actually may not have seen this. What I've shown you above in the last, is it really 2 hours? Bloody hell. That is based on working with lots of people in a coaching capacity, and everyone has a different perspective. I mean, it's beautiful. It truly is beautiful to see how everyone has a slightly different perspective and different belief systems, etc., which makes being human so much fun. And that's why you cannot have a blanket here, everything works that way. Alrighty. So Evelyn, sorry, I can't give you a step-by-step, okay? The step-by-step is to get some external perspective and then create your step-by-step plan. Nick says, I've done this personality test before, and it said that I'm a wimp who has to follow orders and can only do things on instruction. Can I still make money online? I don't know what... I would love to see that. No. There's no such thing as being... I have not seen a single DISC test that says you're a wimp. Okay, the whole philosophy behind DISC is it's actually based on science. Well, it's not. Yeah, it is science. It is based on the observation that certain people who respond in a certain way will have certain personality traits. That's it. So the following orders is basically a personality trait where I'm just guessing that you're possibly more in the team orientation, and so you're in the lower side of the DISC quadrant, so the S and the C. Okay, you're probably more detail oriented, and you're more as sort of a team player as opposed to be driven by own initiative. So if you once again read the onlinerule.com/coaching, David asked me about creating products. Everyone tells me I have to create products. And the answer is no, you don't have to. Okay, go and read that stuff. Because the same thing applies here. Because you are of a certain type, you, as a team player, for example, may not be best suited to setting up your own business and doing everything yourself and then going out and doing hardcore pushy sales. Okay, that is totally true. Can you still make money online? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely you can, and you should. There are very, very successful JV, what are they called? The JV brokers who do nothing else than network all day long. Okay, they make the connections and they put people together and they help on the back end. They get some very specific instructions to do certain tasks and they do them exceedingly well, and they get paid top dollars for it. So, your answer. The answer for you is yes, you can absolutely make money online. Cass, I struggle with mapping out my now evergreen sales funnel. The funnel of the big IM guys seems to be so slick and so obvious when you look at them as a buyer, but how do you start? How do you build it out? Do you plan it first or build it as you go? Build as you go. No, it's basically 2 steps. You start with an ideal image. This is what I'd like to have. And then you go out. Remember what I said at the beginning. This is all about direct response marketing. No matter what your great plan is, no matter what you think is going to happen, at the end of the day, it's always going to be different because 50% of the response is going to be due to testing and tweaking. You may have an idea what your market likes, and then the response comes back, and it's just like, oh, I never expected that one. And I've had the most important thing is, I'll give you an example. I've worked with a small business here in the area, printers, and I said, look, the first thing we're going to do before we do anything else is we survey your existing customers and find out what they like, what they don't like, and those who haven't ordered for a while, why the heck they're not ordering anymore, where they've gone, how dare they? It was months of dragging feet until they finally mustered the courage to tell me that they didn't actually feel comfortable asking because they feared the feedback. They didn't want to hear what other people really thought about them. Okay, one of the big skills, I've given you like 200 the biggest skills today, okay, but one of the big ones is to step away from having your ego in the way. Your ego must not be in the way. Any response you're ever getting from the internet, from people on the internet, is not aimed at you, not you personally. It is aimed at what you put out there. And if the feedback is, well, crap, we don't like your stuff, so be it. But if you go out there and you get some feedback and go, all right, I'm going to stop now. Hang on, I had a great example yesterday, heard this thing. Russ Ruffino tells it like this. It's beautiful. Pretend you're opening a restaurant and everything is in place. You've got the staff in there, you've got the food, you have done the marketing, etc., etc. And then in the morning you turn up and turns out the locksmith gave you the wrong key. So the key to the front door doesn't fit. And you go, oh shit. You know what? This restaurant business is not for me. No, I'll stop. Thank you very much. I'll do something else. Okay? That's what a lot of people do when they get bad feedback. So, long-winded answer to your question is, do I do this as I go along? You start with planning, mapping it out. Go, this is what I'd love to do. And then you go you build it as you go. You get feedback from the market, you go, all right, they like this, they didn't like this. And over time, everything will change. But at least you're doing something, as opposed to what I see a lot of people do is build this whiteboard, giant sales funnel. This is what the ideal thing looks like, and I'm now going to build the entire thing perfectly, only to find, well, by the time I had one, we never really got going, but I was supposed to be helping out with a JV, and he was going to do the ultimate mobile marketing product. Truly the ultimate, you only need to get this thing and then everything is sorted. It was like everything you need to do with mobile marketing. And of course it never took off because it was constantly, I was barraged. My inbox was full every single day of, I've just bought this course and I've researched this and I've added this, and it's like the introduction was something like 2 hours long. This is the overview over the field of mobile marketing for the next 50 years. Well, and guess what? It never took off. So, go plan it out once and then build it as you go. I noticed you didn't provide us a price for the coaching. Yes, it's insanely expensive. That's why I didn't want you to fall off your sofa now and then get sued by your partners. Evelyn, wrap a service as a product with the intention that someone else is doing all the work. No, not all the work, but yes, okay, I understand that intellectually, but thinking about it I'm not sure how to do that. Anything I can read to help me get my head wrapped around the concept, perhaps with an example? Absolutely. Built to sell by I forgot, but go and Google it, or Amazon it, okay? Built to sell. God, I do actually have a review. It's in my Guru Cloner Club. If you're in there, it's short summary. It's a fairly easy read, but it's a beautiful idea with a couple of examples. They're using graphic design, or logo design as an example. Logo design in itself really is a service. So whether you substitute SEO for logo design or what, that's a fine example of how to do it. Bill, thanks for the great webinar. Learned a lot and will definitely use this information going forward with my business. Cool. Thank you, Bill. Jillian, the reason I want a mentor when I can afford it is to bring the best out of myself. Should I go for an IM mentor or a non-IM coach so I can then apply results online? Okay, there's a difference between mentor and coach. That's the first thing I want to mention there. Mentor is typically the invisible coach, if you like. The mentor, his role is to maybe make a few connections, maybe point out a few things, but typically with the mentor you have between 3 and 5 minutes when you're on a call, and what you do is you think about your own problem so much and so hard that you already have the answer when you go to the mentor. But the mentor is kind of the person who's there who forces you to think so hard about your question that it's all happening. Anyway, to answer your question, should you go for someone who's got online experience? In my opinion, yes. And here's why. I'm working with a couple of guys in Wales, and they're selling online stuff, and they've got this great deal. I mean, it seems to be an awesome gig. If you're in the UK at the moment, you can get government funding for almost everything. You can get free employees for half a year. I mean, how much better does it get? And they pay for all kinds of stuff. And they've got a mentor who is an offliner. And I kind of, get that feedback. I see the feedback, and a lot of it makes sense. But a lot of it misses the differences between online and offline. At least go to someone who's done or is doing both online and offline. Super audiobook, get from audible.com, says Norbert. There you go. Evelyn, thanks. Great webinar. Your sincerity and no BS approach is obvious. Yeah, thank you. Alrighty. That's the last question I can see here. Any final questions? Counting down. 10. Thanks for taking so long on a Saturday. No worries. I'm in trouble now. Yes, that took a little longer than I thought it was going to take. Okay. Cool. On that happy note, I hope the recording worked. Well, any questions you've got, send me an email, replytofight@googlemail.com. See you soon. Bye.